The rule was old. Older than treaties, older than borders, older even than the first charts that tried to put lines around the stars. It was not written on stone or encoded in law. It was simply known, whispered across trading lanes and military academies alike. No one enters human space uninvited. Those who did were rarely seen again. At the edge of mapped territory, where civilized space thinned into long stretches of quiet darkness, the warning buoys began. They were not impressive. No massive guns, no threatening holograms, just simple beacons, drifting in perfect formation, their signals repeating in every known language and several unknown ones. Human sovereign space begins. No unauthorized entry. No response will be given. No return is guaranteed. Most species respected warnings like that. Space was vast. There were easier places to explore, weaker neighbors to pressure, safer trade routes to exploit. Only fools pushed into regions that advertised their indifference to diplomacy. The Kale Dominion did not believe in such rules. They were an old empire, scaled and cold-blooded, their civilization built on conquest and absorption. Every species they had encountered had eventually bent or broken. The galaxy, to them, was a series of stepping stones toward inevitability. They did not recognize sovereign space unless it was enforced by visible power. And humanity, in their assessment, did not look powerful enough. Human ships were rare in the wider galaxy. Their trade convoys were modest, their diplomats polite but firm. They did not boast of fleets or parade weapons through neutral systems. When asked about military strength, humans deflected, changed the subject, or smiled in that unsettling way that showed teeth without aggression. To the Kale, this was weakness disguised as mystery. Predators do not hide their claws, declared High Strategist Vokertel, his voice echoing through the War Council chamber. Only prey hopes fear will do the work of strength. The Council agreed. A single exploratory incursion, they reasoned, one fleet, limited in scope, enter human space, test responses, map defenses. If resistance was minimal, escalation would follow. If resistance was fierce, the fleet would withdraw, and the data would still be valuable. Return was assumed. The fleet translated out of hyperspace just beyond the first warning buoys. 32 vessels, heavy cruisers at the core, lighter escorts forming a layered perimeter. Shields flared as a precaution, sensors bloomed outward, probing the dark. Nothing happened. No interceptors, no hails, no automated weapons fire. The warning buoys continued their steady broadcast, uncaring and calm. Perhaps the stories are exaggerated, one commander muttered. Proceed, Vokertel ordered. The fleet advanced. As they crossed the invisible boundary, something subtle changed. It was not a spike in radiation or a gravitational anomaly. It was absence, the background noise of space, the faint whispers of particles and distant stars, seemed to dull. Long-range sensors reported increasing static, not enough to be alarming, but enough to be noticed. Then the buoys went silent. All at once, every warning beacon shut down. Not destroyed, not jammed, simply off. The fleet pressed on. Minutes passed, then an hour. Human space, according to charts, should have been busy. Trade routes, colonies, infrastructure, yet the system ahead was empty. No traffic, no orbital platforms, no stations, just a yellow star and a scattering of lifeless rocks. Scans confirm abandonment? Vokertel asked. No signs of habitation, came the reply. No emissions older than a few decades. A trap, perhaps, or a feint. They advanced deeper. That was when the first ship vanished. No explosion, no debris. One moment it was there, its transponder blinking calmly on the tactical display. The next, the signal cut off mid-pulse. The space it had occupied was empty. What happened? Vokertel demanded. Unknown, the sensor officer replied, scales tightening along his neck. No energy spike, no weapons discharge detected. Another ship disappeared. Then another. The fleet tightened formation, weapons powering up, shields reinforcing. Orders flew back and forth as commanders struggled to identify the threat. Still nothing visible. Then the human voice arrived. It did not come over open channels, it bypassed them entirely, appearing simultaneously in every bridge, every command deck, every personal implant the Kale used. It was calm, measured, and unmistakably human. You were warned. The voice did not carry anger. That was the most unsettling part. This region is closed. You did not request entry. You did not receive permission. You crossed the line anyway. Vokertel stepped forward, claws scraping against the floor. Identify yourself. I am the system custodian, the voice replied. Designation is irrelevant. Your presence has been logged. Around them, space shifted. Stars dimmed, the familiar constellations twisted, sliding out of alignment as if reality itself were being gently folded. Sensor readings spiked wildly, then flattened into uselessness. What are you doing? One commander shouted. Enforcing policy, the human voice said. A cruiser vanished in a ripple, as if pulled sideways into nothing, then two more, gone in perfect silence. Weapons fire erupted from the remaining ships, plasma and kinetic rounds tearing into empty space. The attack struck nothing. Shields flared uselessly against threats that did not exist in any direction they could aim. This is not war, Vokertel hissed. This is execution. Yes, the voice agreed. It is. The Kale had encountered weapons before. Planet crackers, star killers, reality distortion fields, all had signatures, all obeyed some set of physical rules, even if those rules were poorly understood. This was different. Ships were not being destroyed, they were being removed. Folded, displaced, erased from the local frame of reference. A human ship finally appeared. It did not emerge from hyperspace, it simply resolved into being, as if it had always been there and the Kale had only just been allowed to see it. It was massive, angular, and utterly devoid of ornamentation. No visible weapon ports, no glowing engines, just a dark hull that seemed to drink in light. This is a containment zone, the voice continued. You are inside it. Vokertel stared at the display, something like dread coiling in his chest. You hid this entire region. We did more than hide it, the voice said. We isolated it. Another Kale ship vanished. How? Vokertel demanded. Because we learned early, the human replied. We learned what happens when you are loud, when you announce your strength, when you let the galaxy know exactly what you can do. The human ship did not fire, it did not move, yet its presence dominated the system. Your kind expands by testing boundaries, the voice said, so we removed the boundary. What does that mean? Vokertel asked, though he already suspected the answer. It means, the human said, that once you crossed into our space, you stopped being part of the wider galaxy's causality. The remaining ships began to drift, their navigation systems reporting impossible coordinates, timestamps desynchronized, internal clocks disagreed by seconds, then minutes. You are not being killed, the voice continued, you are being archived. A final Kale cruiser disappeared. Vokertel was alone now, his flagship surrounded by emptiness and the silent human vessel. Why? He asked quietly. Why not destroy us? Why let others know? Because fear spreads faster than truth, the human replied, and because stories work better when there are witnesses. The human ship began to fade. You will be returned, the voice said, eventually, to a point just outside our space. Your vessel will be intact, your records will remain, your memory will not. Vokertel felt something reach into his mind, not violently, but firmly, like a hand closing around a book. You will remember the warning, the voice said, but not the details. The last thing Vokertel saw was the warning buoys reactivating, their calm message repeating into the void. Human sovereign space begins. No unauthorized entry. No response will be given. No return is guaranteed. The Kale flagship reappeared days later at the edge of known space, drifting and silent. Rescue teams found the crew alive but shaken. Their logs were fragmented, corrupted beyond recovery. Their leader could not explain what had happened, only that they should never try again. Word spread. Explorers adjusted routes, admirals revised strategies, empires quietly removed human space from expansion plans. No one could say exactly what humans had built out there, only that whatever it was, it did not care about conquest, or negotiation, or pride. It cared about boundaries. And humanity had drawn one across the stars, not with walls or weapons, but with something far more terrifying. Finality. Because in the galaxy, there were many kinds of power. And the most dangerous was the kind that did not need to prove itself twice.